Thanks everybody in the Zoom room for hanging with us. We now have a physical quorum in conference room C. Thank you, Ruby. Would you please take the roll and you get back to your spot?
William White.
He is going to be late.
Jan Coppinger, present. Catherine Vanderwall, here. Rebecca Harper, here. Jennifer Smith, here. Nara Del Baca, here. Robert Geary, not present. And then the Fire District Chief Representative.
I can't see her. Yeah.
Hi, Maria. Yeah, I just wanted to point out we do not currently have video on conference room C. Did we get a quorum present?
I can see us.
You can see us. I am not seeing you.
I can't see you, but I can see me.
And then Sarah thinks she can see video.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. I just stopped sharing. I can see you guys. All right. So.
All right. In the participants list, actually, can you put up the participants list? Oh, no, we're not sharing. So I can't see participants this time except on the top, which is all right. But it sounds like we don't have fire districts represented today.
I'm not seeing Paul Blues or Willie Cepeda in the Zoom room at the moment.
All righty. We're going to move on to consideration of minutes from the August 21st, 2023 task force meeting.
So I have a question because I thought that those minutes we voted at the last meeting to amend some language and then we were going to review them before approving them.
Okay.
Is that not correct? That was my understanding.
What's that again?
The minutes attached are actually, are those August 21? I thought those were the last meeting, which was September 5th. Maybe I'm confused, but I don't know. Everything just kind of seems to flow together.
Right.
Take a look at it.
2 minutes to review them. Ruby might have finished the September 5th minutes and I just didn't get a chance to look at them yet.
Yeah, those weren't then.
So these are August 20.
Those are the current ones that we have for review. And then the one that you were speaking of, so I know exactly what you're saying. It was the July 24th.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, we had agreed they were approved, but I had taken out the language referring to the March 13th minutes. So then they would be approved, but that was added back in.
Okay.
And so we've added that back in. Here is a copy.
So we approved a contingent of that.
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't have September 5th minutes to approve.
Yes, September 5th is not here.
Okay.
This meeting.
All right.
7:10, we're supposed to,
It was the 7:24.
okay, all right. 7:10 we did.
Yeah,
when Jen
that was
okay.
Cool.
with Rebecca abstaining from that vote because she wasn't here for that. Yes.
All right. Are any other questions from the task force? If not, we'll open this part up for public input. I don't see any more. Let's see. Hands up. Go ahead, Bart.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Chief Cepeda is trying to log in. So I wonder if you could pause for just a moment until that's complete.
Super. We'll be happy to welcome him as soon as he can get on, but I don't see him even trying right now.
I just spoke with him.
Awesome. Thanks, Bart. All right. Any further public input on this item? If not, we'll go ahead and accept a motion.
I move to approve the August 21st minutes.
I have an extra pen. No, I don't have them. Here, come down, Mike. All right. Sorry. All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you, Jennifer. Second from Nara. All right. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed adopting or approving these minutes? All right. 5-0.
I abstained because I wasn't there for that meeting.
4-0. 401.
I mean, we can't.
That means carry them.
That means we can't approve them because we don't have a majority of the body.
But we can wait until Will gets here and then we can approve them.
Excellent idea. All right, so they're not approved yet, but we'll take it up again in a little bit. Next item, consideration of summarization. Do we see Chief Cepeda yet? No, okay. Consideration of summarization of recommendations to the Board of Supervisors regarding zoning districts and permit types for cannabis-related businesses. This was continued from the last meeting because we noticed some discrepancies between the way they were reported. So I'm going to hand this over to Andrew. You'll notice we have a few different versions of it to help sort of identify areas that we may need some discussion before we take action. Go ahead, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, Maria. And first, Ruby, when we were getting set up and getting the video on, you had reclaimed host, which means on your end, you might have Chief Cepeda in the waiting room, waiting to enter. I was trying to text message you, but I'm not sure if you have your cell phone with you.
I don't see
So-
him.
Yeah, I don't, it's kind of hidden.
Oh, there he is.
He just popped up.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, usually it's right there. Okay, we're good.
All right. Well, with that said,
Would you
I'm
make
going to
note?
go ahead and share my screen. Are you guys seeing the screen in front of you?
Yes.
All right. This is essentially just the agenda packet. I did go through, Ruby and I worked together with all of the comments from the previous meetings and then going back through all of our meetings going into March, especially around retail sales, because we had started that process in March, but not to the full scope. And then we got back to it. Anyway, we have a pretty, let me get past these minutes. So a pretty conclusive table here that reflects all of the recommendations that have been made. So this is the final item to approve. If this table is not your preferred way to, I guess, take in this information, it's also written out for each type here. There's a little bit more information that we added for clarification, whereas the table just says, for the asterisks, allowable only as an incidental use to permit it in licensed commercial cannabis activities. We did go ahead and specify here between cannabis cultivation and cannabis processing or manufacturing, which would both be commercial cannabis activities as they relate to type 9 and type 10 retail licenses.
It comes out of the speakers itself. Because this is as loud as it's going.
Are you having trouble hearing me?
No, you're fine, Andrew. It's just coming out of the laptop, not the actual speaker itself on the TV.
Well,
Sound settings on the laptop. You should be able to.
Don't you miss high school when we always had like an
It
80?
should just.
Right, yeah. Yeah, but we also have real
Display audio.
Great. I'd love for it.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like a speaker.
person, but it was a VHS. So it's hard to like rattle down the hall with like this giant bounce.
Can you talk? Sorry, can you?
yes, I can say something.
Better. Good
This is
job.
something.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Chief Cepeda has his hand raised. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sorry I'm late. Paul Blues is sick today, and I've been in meetings raced back, and so I'm here now. Sorry for being late.
Awesome. Thanks, Willie. All you missed was approval, or we tried to approve the minutes from August 21st, but we didn't have enough people, so we'll come back to that one in a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so getting back to the table. So we have a comprehensive table that covers a lot of the changes. I know we've seen several different versions of this table, and a lot of us are tired of looking at it. But with that said, if the table confuses you, you can have everything written out here underneath it. But there was as we got, a final picture of what this table is looking like, I noticed a few things. Here I have the same table in just a slightly different format. It's from the same original document. This might be a little bit easier to read with the bold markings. I noticed a few items up here in the cannabis cultivation processing license, as well as the type 13 self-distribution only license. And then we had Sarah Bodner make a comment about the add-on for the cannabis distributor license. And so I made some edits to reflect what these might look like if changed and updated, and I'll explain why. So here we do not have the cultivation processing license and all of our ag preserve, ag timber preserve, rural lands, rural residential, and suburban reserve. These are basically all of our farms, the rural areas where cannabis is grown. And typically where it's grown, it's processed on site. Now, whether you want to keep the restriction to not let the processors here at this site maybe open the door to process their neighbor's cannabis if they're not processing themselves, that's fine. But I just wanted to point that out, that is not there and an option for rural residential and suburban reserve. Another add-on or a change that Sarah Bodner had brought up is that the add-on here, the cannabis distributor license add-on, in the original document that you're reading, you can see it does not have the asterisks across the board here, whereas this would have added them too. I mean, they're kind of implied with the name add-on, but just to be consistent throughout the entire chart, that might be an edit to make. Now, another note that I'm noticing is that with the add-on type 11 distributor license, where you could distribute for multiple people, in addition to the type 13 transport only distribution or a type 13 transportation only self-distribution license, the recommendations that we went through had reflected a minor use permit, and they came through as a minor use permit. However, what we're seeing is where we added these zoning permits for these other distribution licenses should probably apply to these, especially in the rural zones here. Because generally that's a very insignificant change to the project at all. It's a modification at most.
Andrew, can I interrupt you real quick?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that one of the items you brought up with regard to cannabis cultivation processing and the most recent, those are kind of recommendations that we changed something that we already decided on.
We changed it right here. This
One of these
C2
recommendations being ministerial. So I'm a little bit confused what we're doing here, what you're presenting on.
Okay, 3 items. I'll go over to this table so you can see these changes. So what we had previously said with the processor license, it was originally proposed in these areas and it would include the C2 zoning. However, it was Willie Cepeda who did not like to see processors or a processing facility on our main streets. And so other task force members supported that. That was taken out. That was really the one main change from those original set of LCCA recommendations across the board. If anybody can confirm or deny that or correct me if I'm wrong, feel free to jump in. But that's pretty much what happened there. That was that change in the cultivation processor license. That is a separate issue from ministerial permits. See these diamonds here? That is up here a zoning permit. That's a ministerial process. So if they have, and the asterisk means they should need an existing use permit. So if they've gone through this process and let's say either a major use permit or a minor use permit and they're growing, they have a farm, but they realized, oh, I didn't have my self-distribution license here. Or I want to distribute for myself and, the surrounding farms, they can come through with a zoning permit here on that sense. That's the...
Hey, Andrew, we have a question. Nara?
I thought the reason that we had taken out potentially the zoning permits there was because because if there's an existing use, then they would need to apply for a modification to their use permit, whether that's a minor or major use permit. And it wasn't that we didn't think it was going to be a simple process or a very easy, an easy change for a cultivator to make to simply add a distribution vehicle. It was that the mechanism in place by the zoning code wouldn't allow for a zoning permit on top of a use permit that would have to go through as a mod.
Correct. That's where we got into the plurality of the transportation vehicles.
Right. So,
Though to date, if I could just jump in, the cannabis distributor transportation only self-distribution license, if somebody's been wanting to add it on, there are no logical impacts to the environment. We've been taking that in just as a note in the project file and not even requiring a modification.
okay.
So
Yes.
right. And so this one, so it makes sense. I'm not sure how we would write this, but it makes sense that if somebody wanted to add it to their, or include it in a new project application, it would just go in with the whole project. If they wanted to add it later, it's really not a big deal, and I don't know why we would put them through a modification for that one.
All right, even here, minor use permit, which is what the recommendations reflect.
Yeah, so that would be a significant step up for something that's only authorizing you to move your own product.
I think the point here was that you can't just have a self-distribution license on a random parcel without cultivation.
No,
And so-
precisely. It
Okay.
has to be connected to your cultivation permit.
That's where these asterisks
Not for that.
would indicate that. And it would also indicate it on here as the add-on. It is implied an add-on to an existing use permit. It's already there, but it may not be as apparent to everyone reading this, especially those less familiar with the cannabis industry. So having these asterisks here help clarify that, as well as having this as a diamond and asterisk as opposed to a minor use permit. So that's
the asterisks lose the diamond. Because that's what we're making them. Like the way it looks like right now is you can have it with your existing cultivation permit, but you need a zoning permit, and we're not going to do that.
okay.
So let's just keep the asterisks, lose the diamond is my recommendation. I see nods here.
All right. I'm going to open that up for discussion while I change something real quick. So
Asterisks.
Yeah, people in the waiting room.
Hold on a second. All right. So that was for type 13, transport only self-distribution.
So. License. And alone. Would it make sense then that the two type 11s, where there's a standalone and an add-on, would it make sense that it's just cannabis distribution license with the minor use permit? That's what the open circle is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And an asterisk, and then lose the add-on on tab 11.
Mhm. Yeah, just move all the asterisks up to the.
Could you repeat that?
It seems to me that we could just move the asterisks to the top line, or to the type 11 standalone, remove the word standalone. It's just cannabis distributor license, and then put asterisks there to denote that it is an auxiliary license to an existing cultivation site or license.
Only an asterisk.
Correct.
Okay.
And then you could remove the entire type 11 add-on line.
Okay.
Okay.
Asterisk and
Yeah.
all the way across the board.
Mhm.
All right. Understood. Are you sure across the board, type 11 cannabis distribution license standalone, asterisks in the cultivation zones, but keeping the use permits, just for clarification, I'm asking this, in C3, M1 and M2?
That makes sense. And PDC.
And PDC.
All right, so keep the dots for these guys.
Yeah.
Lose the diamonds and then lose the minor use permits above, because it would just be auxiliary. Oh, no, it would require a permit,
Correct.
but it would have to be whatever permit was originally
Yeah.
done. Yeah, it would be required to modify that one. Okay.
Okay. Bear with me for 1 second.
Okay, so that's our bottom 2 rows of yellow. And then cannabis cultivation processing, we did not, the task force did not approve it in RR or SR. Is there any reason why we would change that now?
No.
All right, so we're good with that staying blank there. And could you let Aaron hear again, please, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say is I understand that the bottom 2, type 11 and type 13, we're just trying to work out the ministerial how the chart works.
Mhm.
But I just find it kind of inappropriate that this is basically a recommendation from what our original recommendation was.
What, the top 2?
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Okay. So the new table I just generated, does that look okay to everyone? Does that reflect the discussion that was just made?
I can.
All asterisks, yep, that stays, yep, yeah, that looks like it.
So just so that everyone has eyes on something that, when we approve it as amended, this is the amendment. I just want to clarify.
Right. So we'll clarify then, we'll add the notation on that asterisk, which seems to have dropped off the page this time, just to make sure.
It's up here at the top.
What is it? That I can't read.
Centered, it says.
Oh, it's incidental. Okay, but also the asterisk itself also signifies that it would go through, like if it were an ad. Well, I guess we don't really.
We can provide that text on this page, actually.
Okay.
This is where we kind of go in a little more detail.
Is there anything else from the task force?
Do we need the asterisk still though on the solid dots under C3, M1 and M2? We took them off, but that's still an add-on, correct?
It would still be an add-on.
So I would think we would leave the asterisk there.
Well, technically we do see type 11 distribution licenses standalone in those districts, which would generally you'd want a major use permit and a
So actually, then we should not have the asterisks on those, right? Because it's not
Remove the word standalone.
distributor.
It could be,
Okay.
standalone, it could also be, an add-on to a, like, manufacturer.
So we keep both the dot and the asterisk.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Okay, yep.
So remove the word standalone, it's just distributor license.
Remove the bottom line,
And
move the
it should
asterisk.
either be,
Okay, so let's double check.
Okay, I think I got you.
So we did want asterisks on distributor license and the C3, M1, and M2 and PDC. But we also want the solid dots for major use permits if they're not add-ons. Oh, Ruby, can you add her again? Thanks.
Or those, the C3 or C2,
C3, M1, M2, and PDC.
do
you're
not
talking
have
about-
to have an asterisk.
Which one are you talking about?
They have an asterisk and a dot.
11 or 13?
11.
But we could have a so this is where I think. So in C3, M2, MP, and PDC, it does not have to have, it can be a standalone, it doesn't have to be incidental.
So we need to take the asterisk off.
Asterisk off
Okay.
of C3,
Sorry,
M1, M2, and
Sorry,
This is
say
actually doing my heart very good because now I am understanding why this is the third or fourth time we've looked at this.
say that again.
They get turned around.
so on the, take off the word standalone.
Already done. I'm ready to export
Okay.
that.
And then in the cultivation sites, which zones, which would be APZ, A, TPZ, RL, RR, and SR, you can only have distribution there if it's incidental. So that is where the asterisks would go.
Yes, I've added those too. I thought you're having me take those out, but
Okay, and then C3, M1, M2, and PDC should not have an asterisk because you
they
can.
can be standalone.
Correct.
Okay.
So that combines those two lines. For efficiency.
All right. I think I've got it.
And then the same process would take place for the two lines of type 13. It has to be auxiliary in the cultivation areas. It can be standalone, so therefore without an asterisk in the more commercial zones.
And we are having those just simply asterisks. Is that correct? Sorry.
We're removing the asterisks from C2, C3, M1, and M2, and PDC.
For type 11. I've done that.
Type 13.
For type 13, there's no asterisks on the commercial, manufacturing, or PDC, but they are major use. There must be an asterisk on the cultivation zones, which is APZ, A, TPZ, RL, RR, and SR.
Wait, why would you have a self-distribution license where you didn't have a cannabis cultivation license?
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Transportation
possible.
only self-distribution license is you moving your stuff off your farm.
Sorry, I missed the notation of self-distribution. Correct. You're right.
So wait, so if we don't, so we have nursery, which you'd want to be able to move your stuff, but we don't have any cultivation in C2.
I think what needs to happen is there needs to be an asterisk in the type 13 cannabis distributor transport only. Those should all have an asterisk.
in all zones? Well, again, I go back to, why would you have a okay, so wait,
The bottom, the second line is
Yeah.
self-distro,
yeah,
there's two
the
rows
top
there.
one
Is
is,
not self-distro.
right. So I don't think there would be an asterisk for transport only, because that would be you doing your van service.
Okay.
Yeah. Get that, Andrew?
I believe so. Bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to pull up a new table and hopefully that reflects everything you were just discussing.
Really no changes in that. Really no changes in those two lines, correct?
We removed, in the transportation only self-distribution, we removed all the zoning permits on the bottom in the APPA, TPT, RL, SR. And then we're losing the asterisks. Actually,
We lost the asterisks here.
we lost
C3.
the asterisks on the rest of them, but I also question the transportation only self-distribution in C2, since there is no cultivation in C2. So you're not moving your own stuff in C2. I think that might be an error.
If it's, it could be other product. I think it's the idea that if there's.
Like if you're a manufacturer, you have to have
So that may be the,
okay, that makes more sense then.
or a nurseries, yeah, potential. We'd allow nurseries, right?
Yeah.
In C2.
No,
So,
we
so
don't,
Sorry,
but we do have manufacturing and P and C2, so that makes sense. Okay.
okay. So with that said, does the current table
Oh, I
reflect?
got one more.
One more?
In MP,
MP.
the
Okay.
manufacturing park or industrial park, we allow nursery, but we don't have self-distribution transport only. I think we should add that there.
All right. Let me go ahead and.
But then we need the asterisk back, don't we?
We would. Yep. And I'm doing it. All right. Let's see here.
Well, this is, I was going back down to,
CR. Or MP, sorry.
yeah, we don't have any.
You don't have any MP, right?
Yeah,
So-
what the heck, knock, shut that, go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
Someday they might.
We might,
Put it on
well,
the-
and the reason why is because originally, like back in 2014, when we were doing these regulations, we sort of had the idea, at least in planning, I don't think the board saw it, but we had this idea of like an industrial park cannabis hub. In which case you'd see a whole bunch of different stuff, because we wanted to attract then the labs and the manufacturing and all that stuff. And that's where we would probably rezone to something more like that. Yeah.
Maybe tackle that when we get there, or do we want to add type 11 for the?
Type 11 cannabis distribution.
Yeah, distribution, so then they would be able to go to testing and potentially to retail instead of just their product.
What say the task force? If you want, we can add it into that one. This is our last chance to make any
For MP.
changes for MP.
Yeah.
I think we should add it.
Yes, but we may someday get it. Right. All right. So is that a major use permit consistent with the other similar?
So you're talking about here?
Orange circle.
Yeah.
Yep, right there.
A big subdivision.
Okay.
MP. Wait, this is for type 11 or type 13?
This is type 11.
Thank you.
Yes. Hang in there. We're getting close. I'm encouraged.
Just imagine working in.
It actually is. I love it. But I'm a dork, so. All right. Are we good for now, task force? All right, we're gonna open it up to public inputs. Erin had her hand up a while ago. But I think she must be having internet problems because she keeps coming in and out. So in the meantime, we are gonna go to Bart. Go ahead, Bart.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm a little confused about when you say this is the last chance to make changes, especially since what you're doing is on a screen, not on a handout, can't be reviewed. And also, I wanted to note that in the website, the meeting documents are not present beyond June 20th. So what I want to say is I appreciate very much hearing this work session today. It seems really productive and great, but it seems like there ought to be a print up of what you're concluding today to be decided, to be reviewed, and then decided on with a vote in the next meeting.
Thanks, Bart. Go ahead, Holly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I just had a couple of things. Type 10, what was it? Type 10. In the 313 minutes, Jennifer had made a motion that it would be incidental sales for C3, M1, M2, and MP, and that was approved by the task force.
C3, M1, M2, and MP?
Correct.
We do have those
With the consumption lounge.
asterisks for the consumption lounge in the original. Let me go ahead and add that to the current one.
Wait, I see, there are, yeah, they are, where the one I'm looking at with the yellow on it has it.
Let's see, the most recent one. Oh yeah, it has it here.
That's consumption. Oh, is it up there? I can't see on here. No, it's
that
not.
would be the difference between consumption and just retail storefront.
Right. Well, the
Retail storefront would be incidental as well.
Yes.
I think that is correct. Yeah.
Cool.
Let me go ahead and update that.
And then along the vein, a little bit of what Bart just said. So there's no minutes from September 5th, which is when everybody voted on type 5 and type 9. So don't you have to have the minutes voted on before you can then approve this because it hasn't really been approved yet? Am I making sense on that?
Reconsidering it as it is before us today.
Right, but the minutes haven't come out for September 5th, which is when you added in type 5 and type 9.
I'm pretty sure we're okay to move forward.
Well, the minutes haven't been approved, and I thought you've been saying all along that once the minutes are approved, then it's set in stone.
Well,
within those minutes, there was no motion.
There was a motion.
Not on this table, right? It was just a decision to continue it to the next point.
No,
to the next meeting.
I'm talking about there was a vote taken on type 5, and then on also portion of type 9 on the delivery. But the minutes there are no minutes from September 5th today that were approved, so that hasn't been approved yet.
No, the action was taken. It's just the minutes haven't been approved. But I think that if possible, we are not going to bring this back to another meeting. We really need to get it moving forward to the board. So if the task force sees any concern with the way that we have it reported on this chart for the 5 and the 9 from the action we took at the last meeting, please speak up now because we'll have to check that. We could always table it again if we need to. Cool. All right. Thanks, Holly. Is there anybody else with their hand up? Bart already spoke. Let's see.
I saw Erin for a second.
I saw Erin for a second, but I think she said in the chat, she said she had her question answered.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so let's bring it back for the task force. What would you like to do? I know that I have seen meetings where board of supervisors have moved forward and taken action without approved minutes. So I don't think we're breaking any Brown Act rules on that, but I'll leave it up to the task force.
Okay, can I ask for clarification?
Of course.
Because there was a lot going on between like type 11 and type 13. Okay, so type 11, the second line, the add-on, we got rid of that whole line, correct?
Type 11, the second one with all the zoning permits, we got rid of that whole line.
Okay, just making sure I scratched out something that I wasn't not supposed to.
Okay. We will bring it back to the task force for action.
I think we're back.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve as amended and stated.
Okay, we have Jan. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Excellent. Jennifer, all those in favor? Say aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right. So moved. It is approved. Are there any public comments for items that are within the purview? I guess we don't really have any authority, but purview of the Cannabis Task Force, but not on today's agenda. Bart, is that you?
Yes, I don't understand what's going on, and it seems the process is flawed. And I understand you saying, Maria, that you think that the Board of Supervisors does something similar, but it isn't clear that the process that you're doing today is clear, and it needs to be. This is very important policy, and we all need to be as careful as we can be to make sure that what is proposed to move forward is in fact what everyone feels good about.
Thanks, Bart. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, this is Sarah Bodner, Policy Director for LCCA. And I wanted to start by saying thanks to Andrew for really combing through every single square of the zoning table to make sure that it was accurate and reflected the task force's decisions. This has been a really complex process, but I reviewed it really carefully, and I think this does reflect every discussion we've had up to date, and it's been a lot. So this is a huge accomplishment. Is this an opportunity where I can speak to something other than this item, Maria?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to let everybody know, in case you hadn't seen the agenda for the Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow morning, that the task force's recommendations around drying structures is going to be heard. And I wasn't sure if the action taken at the last meeting to have task force members present when the task force's recommendations would be heard will apply tomorrow morning's meeting, because I think it's a big opportunity to bring that recommendation forward after Andrew completed the CEQA analysis and it's gone through the state clearinghouse and will now be considered by the BOS at long last. That's all.
Thank you. Well, sounds good to me. If the subcommittee wants to join us.
I can.
The item is timed for 10:30. It could be a little late from what we've looked at.
But I wouldn't count on it, because when you count on it, it's always right on time.
Yeah.
If you're there, then it could be like,
It won't be before 10:30. How about that?
But just as a point of order, both members of that subcommittee will be able to be in attendance.
You bet.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Then we will make space for you up at the dais. All right. We need to return back to minutes from August 21st now that we have more than a quorum. That's exciting. Okay. Nara, do we have a second?
I second that.
Jennifer. And vote of the task force. Actually, hold on. Let's open it for public input, because we're about to take action. Anybody want to make comments on the minutes from August 21st? See no hands raised in the Zoom room. Bring it back for a vote. All those in favor?
I said yes once.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Nope. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All abstaining.
And Jan abstaining. 6, 0, 1 abstain and 1 absent. No, 2 absent.
Approved, all in all done.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All done. Should we write down what?
I was right.
Okay,
So write it down.
I'm waiting for I saw the number. It would be great to get a report, since I know Andrew's been working really hard all summer on moving through applications. We had a report about 6 months ago on the number of moving cannabis applications. We'd just love to hear where we're at.
Yeah. Is that okay with you, Andrew? We'll put you on the next agenda.
Sure. I actually had trouble hearing that, to be honest with you.
Oh, just an update on where we are regarding cannabis permits, how many we've got. How are
Oh,
they?
yeah.
That kind of thing.
We know
Yeah.
you've been slogging through all summer on that, and so it would be great to hear a report on that slog.
Yeah. We've got plenty of updates on the permitting and inspections. Yeah, we can do that at the next. We can put that in on the agenda.
Also, just something that the task force should be aware of, we're taking our first cannabis permit revocation request to the planning commission on the 28th. So we have a number of them that are on the revocation list, but we wanted to make sure we did this with due diligence.
That's me pulling already.
Not a bunch. We do have a few. We've done so many annual compliance monitoring site visits, and most of them are just little things that we can fix as we go along. But when we have encountered a severe violation or a high severity violation, which is growing outside your permitted amount, we're taking to the board. So the first one is Legendary Farms over on Soda Bay, and we have a few after that. So
Seem to be notorious ones.
When is that going to the board?
28th.
Of this one.
Planning commission. It's going to planning commission on the 20th.
Planning commission. Yes. And that's all I have as far as department update. Public input. We're going to go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.